which sets it up nicely for our special guest mentor. He always likes simple introductions. And since he dressed simply, I'll only comply. Let's welcome our special guest mentor for today, the Honorable Ken Ofori Atta, Finance Minister of the Republic of Ghana. Yes, let's rise to welcome him as he comes. And keep the volume of the clapping as loud as before. And you can add some noise too. Make some noise. Come on, you're young people. Woo! Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Please take your seats. They tune the radio, they ask, what did happen? And then you know that it's the Springboard Ghana Cares Youth Dialogues. I've never heard the Finance Minister speak Pidgin. Do you speak Pidgin? You did speak Pidgin? Once upon a time. But now you need to speak again. Take it away, sir.
Thank you, Kafui. Good morning, or is it afternoon yet? It's morning. It's really good to be here. Kafui, thank you. Thanks again for this opportunity. So we've heard a lot today, and frankly, we at the ministry are just deeply concerned about our future and how we should manage your future such that the country's transformation is sustainable, robust, and you all become confident and wealthy citizens of our nation. But first, let me thank the university. To shift your graduation to make sure that we have this program for the youth. It's a clear acknowledgement of the demographics that we have and what we are going to do for us. And thank you really for that. Flexibility is what leads to innovation, which leads to prosperity. And obviously, what you have done in this university is testament, to the way in which you manage it. So we are trying to, create an entrepreneurial state. We have certainly been dependent on ready-made jobs for people, and it's not sustainable. So how do we prepare the next generation with the future of jobs in mind and a dependence on themselves to look into their future? Let me also thank Albert and Comfort. And Albert said something which is a very significant statement. He called Comfort his friend. It's not an easy thing to have your wife as your friend. I used to go to these weddings and they'll ask me to speak. And I'll say, the issue in Ghana for marriages is that somehow the system compels you to have a girlfriend. And it's a very difficult thing. So what do you do when this whole society is moving in that direction? Now, if you're able to define your wife as your girlfriend, you solve the problem. Okay. So it looked like just a statement, but I think it's the heart of fidelity in a good society. So let's make our spouses our boyfriends and girlfriends, and we would have solved the Ghana problem. So Albert, thanks for that. But I've worked with Albert and Comfort for many years on the Springboard issue with regards to really getting involved with the youth, and also to make them understand that the sky is not really the limit. You can even go, higher than that. We saw a 90-year-old person go into space a few days ago, and so things are possible. And I just want to, share with you, a few things on my own personal rise to this position, to just make you understand that it's not an issue of being silver spoon-fed, but small beginnings are important. And you can come from Nazareth to be, the greatest person in the world. And I say that because sometimes you ascribe certain images to people in positions until you know what the beginning really is. I look at myself as somebody who was born out of wedlock, which meant that you needed a strong woman not to abort you, and she escaped to do that. Grew up in Chebi, and therefore you had to walk a mile to school and wake up in the morning and go to the river and, put this cocoyam in your pocket and walk. And that's it. Fortunately, at some point, Dad decided, this boy cry, maybe we should bring him to the big city. And then that changed the trajectory. So education, and therefore for me, the intervention of this free senior high school is just critical. So for someone who was not the smartest student in Chebi Government School to then rise to be where we are indicates really that there's no limit to what you can do. And it's important to do that. Okay. So that's one in terms of, where you come from, etc., and the deep belief in values. Then the second one is the growth of entrepreneurship. And yes, one had the opportunity to go out and get these degrees from Columbia or Yale, etc. But in coming back, there were no guarantees as to what you should do. You're in Wall Street. What is there to do except a deep belief that you had to give back to the Republic? So what do you do? So we come and we start an investment banking firm in one room in a construction company owned by my cousin in Cantamanto. That was 30 years ago. No promises, no financing, just a deep confidence that we should recreate what we have seen and that nobody owes us anything, but we actually owe the state something because they have somehow given us the basic education, and our mothers and fathers have helped us. So no sense of entitlement, and 30 years later, you have a data bank that is maybe managing some $1 billion equivalent in assets. Okay? So, it's very easy to ascribe, perceptions to it, and you understand where your leaders sometimes come from, and you realize that, they didn't grow up thinking that anybody owed them something. But the state must find a way somehow to facilitate well-educated, get credit, the kind of programs that we are doing, but to really feel that there should be ready jobs for everybody is a different state. So what we are saying is that how do we create Ghana as an entrepreneur state? And what do we do to further consolidate the skills you have with, as Honorable John said, appropriate skills, appropriate technology, appropriate connections, and financing to make sure that, you look at your skill set and translate it into jobs that you like. Because the future, honestly, is not about jobs that are hiring 1,000 or so people, but it's really about you all, starting something new and hiring 1, 2, 3, or 4 or 5 people. Because the SME sector is what really generates it. So you go to the villages, and I had some people go around, and they have 1D, 1Fs in their districts. 1D, 1Fs are mostly sort of agriculture-based, which means that they're going to require raw materials. And you ask, well, so what are you doing while he's waiting for a job? So, but this one is going to need avocado or sweet potatoes or something. Why aren't you part of the supply chain? Because the factory has been built. But because of the mindset that we have, they are looking to go to prisons or immigration or police or something, and that is not sustainable. So really, for us, it's saying let's have a change in mindset. Let's recreate Ghana as an entrepreneurial state, not a socialist state, and let's see how we leverage off on your deep skills to be able to do that. And I gave you the beginning examples to show that there's really no limit to where you can go with what you have. And let's not bury our talents. So it's really great to be here, but the youth problem remains maybe the most intractable problem of our time in Africa and globally. At this pandemic level, the past 20 months, in Africa alone, over 103 million jobs, were compromised. And that's mostly women and youth. So we need to begin to look at things differently, to empower you in a different sense of attitude. And I think the Vice Chancellor confirmed that. Because what has been done here is through IGF, which is internally generated funds, and most of the sort of original state universities somehow believe that their IGFs are not enough. But there's more than enough to be able to do this. And that's when you see an example of values, and hard work to do that. I noticed, Madam Registrar, that your values consist of what? Service, integrity, and respect. Is that it? And I was thinking about it, and I said, well, that is like SIR, S-I-R. So you have knighted students in this environment, and with that type of attitude, there's no question that we can build a Ghana that we need for the future. So as a nation, we are faced with challenges, and John, articulated that youth unemployment estimated at greater than 1.1 million, underemployment, meaning you could do much more that you are being able to do. And the question is whether the infrastructure is not good enough to do that. And we recognize that they are doing that. But I think the most debilitating part of it is our own sense of disempowerment and what I call poverty of the mind, in terms of just not feeling strong enough and confident enough to be able to go out there and try things. And businesses do fail, but until you try, you will not break through what you have to do. So insufficient formal private sector jobs, in terms of 12% of Ghanaians are formally employed in the private sector, and that's not enough. We need to do much more than that, and we need to create the environment for that. That's the intervention of the Ghana Cares program, which the President charged us to do, and then the specific products and programs that John talked about, going to wrap a lot around the U-Bank concept to make sure that everyone, everywhere, can access that. It is also, according to some research done, that more than 50% of tertiary degree enrollment are occurring in fields with limited or no growth in labor markets. Furthermore, agriculture and computer science are growth areas but receive less than 2% of enrollments. So there are issues of specificity of skills, but truly, I mean, American education mostly talks about liberal arts education, and then they add some skills to it. Now, the reason for, the prominence of liberal arts is to get people to be able to think widely, to have an avalanche of information and understand how you tease out the data that you need to be able to do something else and with it. And that creates that flexibility of mind and innovativeness, and that's why America continues to regenerate itself because of the liberal arts education. So the issues of philosophy and ethics, sometimes look irrelevant, but those are the areas that should be in any degree program, and you begin to realize, the breadth and freedom that comes from wide-scale thinking. So we have a situation where the youth of our country are feeling let down, and which part is government's fault, which part is our educational system's fault, which part is the youth itself not feeling strong enough to try different things and step up to being a part of the solution, as opposed to sometimes the nihilism that you see being compounded by, I guess we would say, the 12 spies that went to spy the land and the 10 that came to sow very bad seeds as to the future. And we need to be able to confront that, to be discerning enough to ask the question, who should be doing what, and what is my part in this. The pandemic certainly put us on our back foot, but fortunately, because of the work that we had done in the past 4 years, we did much better than most people in the world and in Africa, as economies contracted by about 3% or so, but Ghana was able to eke out some growth of about 0.4%, which was very helpful. But more importantly, the president was swift and quick in the interventions that we had to do, and boldly stepped in, to correct the dislocation that was going to occur with various programs in terms of electricity and light and water. But more importantly, some 600 to 750 million that was put at the behest of GEO-MBSSI to ensure that people had access to facilities during the lockdown for their businesses to continue, and also an engagement with the faith-based organizations for them to continue skills training and support for jobs. But the state, irrespective of anything, has a definite role to play with regards to what you call a social contract between us and our citizens, so that each person feels committed to the Republic and understands the role that they have to play without feeling a sense of entitlement. But we always live under this sort of Damocles where you need to ensure that statements, or that people think in a way in which is more progressive. Because as soon as people start to think and ask the question, what does it matter to me in terms of the nature of where the state is, then you know that the state is being given up as lost. And this is what we don't want to continue, and thus these radical interventions to make sure that there's jobs for people, but the jobs have to be created by you, and what's your part in it, and what is our part in that. And COVID really taught us to reorient our approach for job creation, particularly because the future of jobs have changed so dramatically. A recent survey with the NAPCO group identified that 98.1% of the young people want jobs in the public sector, i.e. ready-made jobs. But currently, it's not the way of the future. We just can't support that, and that should not be encouraged either. Wages currently are estimated over 50% of our total revenues. And this is wages for only 650,000 odd people out of 30 million people that we have to support and make sure that their future is good. If we were even to reduce wages to revenue by 10%, that is like 5 to 6 billion cedis to be used, to support entrepreneurs, entrepreneurship and credit for you to do your own thing, for you to become your own boss and create jobs for other people. So the issue of becoming an entrepreneurial state must be pursued, with just unrelenting fervor, and have confidence as a government that people have the skill set to have their own future in their hands and not bury their talent. So this is why the ministry is here, why John, who is passionate about entrepreneurship and jobs, is also here and will be leading us to ensure that you all are given a hand up instead of a hand out. Because from where I come from, I believe that if I can do it, then you are more capable of doing it than even I. And if you have a bunch of all of us feeling that confident about our future, respecting our idiom of God, country, and family, I think there will be no stopping this great society, which I say has a manifest destiny with greatness, and you are a major part of that realization. So in the end, our objective as a government is to ensure that we can tackle this unsettling feeling of uncertainty that you have into this brave new world, and we have to make cushion the landing. And that's why the Ghana Cares program and John's description of the youth banking model is going to be a critical part of all of this reversal, change in attitude, and making you dare to do new things. So it's all about jobs, 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 and then we should truly get familiar with the Ghana Cares program, with the youth banking system, and that we expect to launch after the budget, and that could become a central part of what we all think of, the way in which it's being designed after consultation to try and get it right into the university system, and it makes a big change. I remember when I went to college in Colombia, and I went for breakfast, and everybody was being served, people behind the counter, and got my food, went and sat down and ate. Then I went to the classroom, and I'm looking at some of these people. Wasn't that a guy serving at the back of the counter? Yes, everybody worked on campus. So the issue of Juma in Fatame was not even there, by the time they finished school, and you were therefore quite humble in terms of the approach to that. And I think really we ought to bring a system where students, are working in the dining hall or part of the cleaning mechanism, and it just changes the way in which we regard ourselves, that education is a privileged add-on, and that going through school and learning how to do this brings untold respect for people in lower careers, but also frees you to think much broadly. So I was a messenger in the dean's office for 4 years, and I was sitting in the apartment of some of the professors as a doorman in the evenings, and doing my homework. So you don't wake up with any ideas of superiority, but understanding the value of money, the value of time, and ability to do all it takes. Because I think I would have had a very different attitude if I didn't have the experience, and there's no way coming from Wall Street I'd have gone to Cantonment to open an office. I think I'll need an OD, I need, but that rids you, of certain perceptions and understanding that things that are good require sacrifices, and that our values and the good Lord leading it, there's really no limit to what you can do. And you have to really inculcate that spirit. I think we are in an amazing period in our history. We had a great president who brought independence to us, and also the political emancipation of the continent. And that's what led to all of this AU stuff. And then, as the Lord will have it, the Africa Continental Free Trade area is also in vogue now, because the future is about what trade and investment, and that happens to be in our country, and that's really divine. That gives us the opportunity to really regionalize our economy, so that we don't only talk about 30 million people, but we talk about 380 million people in West Africa, in which a part of a program of Obatampa is to get regional enterprises, which will then enable us to export more and also substitute, be able to stop. I think we spend about maybe $2 billion of our foreign exchange on food import, which is crazy. Tomatoes, rice, poultry, we just eat it, So all of the money we make from cocoa, we just import these things. And therefore, what Eva and Dr. Ansu is saying is that let's get rid of that. Let's not only be food sufficient, but also be able to export, so that we make more money and we use our cocoa money for other things. So it is that framework of Ghana Beyond Aid where we know we have the capacity, but that can only be driven by you also unleashing, your energies and thinking differently, that it's not about ready-made jobs, but it's about what you plug in to be able to contribute to this new order of Ghana as an entrepreneurial state. And we are committed to make that happen. And really all of us at the ministry and government, we just do all that we need to do to ensure that you are given a hand up to be able to realize your God-given talents in a way that makes you confident and prosperous coming into the future. So that's 1 million jobs, and it really makes it easy for me to believe that if there's a mental switch and we are able to provide these resources that we are talking about, of about at least 100,000 people coming out of the tertiary institutions each year, each one being an entrepreneur, hiring 2, 3, or 5 people, that's 500,000 right there. So is it possible? It's more than possible. And you are significant part of this equation. Because if we can be standing here today, I'm sure you can do much more than we are doing. So the ecosystem for financing has to be strengthened. And as John mentioned, we're going to ensure that the banks, the venture capital companies, NEIP, GEA, are strong pillars in the realization of this. The development bank that is coming would ensure that it feeds these institutions with the resources so that as they are closer to you, they will be able to fulfill the specific needs that you have. Another part of this, I remember the intervention during the COVID time was also to look specifically at the issue of culture, and entertainment, because that also signals sort of the renaissance of a society when you begin to ensure that you understand where you come just are also giving you a sense of what is happening in your land and where the future should go. So those are all critical parts as you look at a holistic way in which society grows. And that would also be areas that we will support. Most of the developing society, as you know, is kind of informal, low income, and our challenge is to find a way, cards, etc. You all will be able to assess that, which also enables me to tax you. But if you are making money, you should be able to pay your taxes so that we have the possibility of ensuring that those who are less privileged, we also support them so that the issue of citizenhood is strong and we go forward lockstep together. So I just want to really say that this whole issue of Obatampa, Mother Cares, the youth banking system that we are going to put together, which will begin from even the university level, will be a real seismic shift in our approach to the future. And you have great apostles and supporters at the ministry and in government. So that the visible hand of the state is now no more, me recruiting people into the civil service, but the visible hand of the state will be facilitating a way in which you become strong entrepreneurs and we wake up owning, as General Champa would say, the commanding heights of our economy, a confident, prosperous society that is wealthy and works in an inclusive way, in a sustainable way. We feel empowered, and we are resilient and proud of where we have to go. So we are expecting, I guess in a sense, somebody may call it a quiet revolution, but it's more than that. A huge social re-engineering to look at ourselves differently, that we can start things, we can promote things, we can create worldwide companies, regional companies, and Ghana will continue to be that green space in West Africa with the democratic credentials, with the rule of law, and of an entrepreneurial society. So we do recognize the hazards that COVID-19 has brought to bear, but it clearly presents an opportunity of just limitless proportion if we are ready to take the risk to grab it, and we can, so we can do it. So we should build a program which will lead to you feeling, refreshed, thinking in a different way, knowing that somebody born out of wedlock could become a finance minister, being looked after by just a mother, and that you can start a little company in Cantonmento in one room and grow it to be $1 billion management company, and that you just be proud of achieving this manifest destiny of greatness, which Ghana should be. So in the end, it's all about God, country, and family, and we shall do well. So thank you. God bless our nation. Okay. All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much, our special guest and mentor, the Honorable Minister for Finance, Ken Ofori Atta. You're listening to or watching wherever you are, the Springboard Ghana Cares Youth Dialogues live at the UPSA Auditorium. We are going to dive straight into our colloquium, and at this point, I want to bring back the gentleman who was here earlier. The Deputy Minister for Finance, Honorable Dr. Kuma, will join his boss right on the stage. And I'm also going to have on the stage a couple of people who will be grilling them in a nice, gentle way. This is your seat, sir. Dr. Kuma is right here. This session will be moderated by Reverend Okran. Okay, so here we go. We have a couple of guests that we want to bring on. And by the way, the numbers are up there for you to send in your questions, 024-695-2432. So coming up to join them are Yusuf Mohammed Umar, who is a former president of the Greater Accra NASPA, National Service Personnel Association, NASPA. So Yusuf is going to come up. Salam alaikum to you, Yusuf. And we also have Jeff Blossom, founder of Blossom Academy, who is going to be joining them right here on the stage. And definitely, last but not the least, we have Letitia Akugre, who has a wonderful story that I'm sure Reverend Okra will tease out of her when she comes. They all have great stories. So Letitia's going to sit in the middle here, and Jeff can sit over there. And we're good to go. I'm going to hand over to Reverend Okran, who is looking very alone, but will bring the podium so that you're not too lonely. And here you go. Take it away, sir.
Well, thank you very much. So what's the one big lesson that you've learned from this interaction in the past 2 hours? What are you taking away from here? I have loads and loads and loads of them, but the good news is that I'm not the one to share my lesson first. It's your lesson that I want to find out from you about. So the number is 024-695-2432. That's the number to send your question to, or your one big lesson from this interaction. And it's not restricted to those in the auditorium alone. It's for those watching us or listening to us on Joy FM, Asasi Radio, YFM, Hits FM, and the various online platforms. Mr. Minister, the questions are in their droves, and we'll see as many as possible that we can start with. Let me start with Derek Aqua for NBTI Pilot Training Institute in Kokomlemle, Accra. He's asking, is there opportunity for those who have technical skills but due to financial constraints find themselves on the streets? Let's keep our answers short so we can take as many as possible because the questions are so many. Let me get Honorable John Kuma to do while Minister catches his breath for a minute. So, Honorable John, is there opportunity for those who have gone through technical training but due to financial constraints are on the streets? Let's start with you.
Yes, thank you very much. As part of government interventions, the technical and vocational area is extremely important. So if you look at CODVET, government has a number of interventions for those who have gone through technical training, not just financing, but also equipment for you to start when you have gone through your programs. So you can apply through CODVET, and also under the UBank, you can apply through NEIP or GEA for support.
Talking about NEIP and GEA, let me remind you that for those of you who are here in person, to my right, they have stands. you can visit the stand and they will help you to register, show you their website where you can actually sign up and the various financing options and support options available that you can take advantage of. Let me cross over to those on the stage, and naturally, let me give deference to our lady in the middle, because it's always very, very special to get an amazing person. And DTI people here, let's hear a round of applause for our. All right, so Letitia is a student who is now an entrepreneur, and she and her teammates participated in the competition and won a prize, the first prize of $7,000 for their prototype of they created a prototype of an innovative adjustable barbecue grill, and now they are upscaling the production in partnership or with engineers from the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. So I'm sure, Letitia, your question has something to do with technology. You are sitting next to the minister. Ask him your question.
Okay. To me, being part of this is a grateful thing. But I would like to ask the minister, right now we have won a prize of $7,000 we are supposed to use to upscale our business. But then that is still not enough. What will the minister do to us? What support do the minister have for us?
All right, so Letitia gets to sit next to the minister, and straight shooting, she says, we won $7,000 to upscale our innovation. What can you add? I love this. Mr. Minister, over to you. Letitia is making you right in the face.
So you want an answer right now?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
I love this. I love this.
You know, the life of an entrepreneur is really hazardous. And, you know, we started our company, 1990? And I think we were able to borrow, in the end, after much struggle, maybe $25,000 equivalent. Yeah. And we've been able to translate that. And therefore, there were periods, lots of